Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Silo Season 2, Episode 1. There's no book spoilers in my review or that are going to be in any of the reviews I do for the show. I'm excited to jump into the show. I didn't do Season 1, but I did watch it, and I have time this time to do Season 2, so I'm really pumped for that. So the episode starts with the flashback in the other silo that we see Juliet is walking towards in present day, and we see this little boy, Tim. Now, this boy, Tim, is running. He is going to his father, and I love when he's on his way, he passes this mural that says truth now, F the founder. So you're seeing just from the visual storytelling how that silo was doing. But he gives the note from engineering to his father, who is the sheriff, and it says a generator will flood in 15 minutes. So this is all in their plan to escape, and that this will flood the whole silo. So their attack cue is 5 bells. That is when they know it's time for this plan to be enacted. So everyone from below starts to go up. It's interesting, though, that the sheriff says he wanted someone named Russell to stay alive, so he was definitely their inside man. But the sheriff, we learn, accidentally killed him when they were attacking. But before that, this man Russell wouldn't open the door. So his wife says to him, I wonder if he was lying. So that implies that this man Russell had told them that it was safe outside. But the sheriff's like, you know what? It doesn't matter. We're still doing it because we're dead anyway. They know the generator is going to flood. And they have the rebellion flag, something like out of Les Mis. And he holds the flag going out, and it cuts to present, which this episode is filled with great match cuts. But I love the cut to the flag and present day of Juliet finding his skeleton holding the flag. Now, it's interesting to note this boy Tim was running up the stairs with them, we can assume go outside maybe a little bit and see what's happening and get back in, because I believe he is that man played by Steve Zahn at the end of the episode, especially because when we see Steve Zahn's face at the end of the episode, one eye is a different color and there's scarring under it. So maybe he started getting sick, feeling the poison, and somehow got back in some way. Now, in the present day, we see Juliet. It's cool her walking through this abyss and then seeing the skull head she has to walk through to get into the entrance of this silo. It's very horror movie feel to it, and there's also a Space Odyssey feel to it when she's wearing that outfit. It's really cool, and it looks great. I mean, Apple's known for just their shows looking awesome. It looks cinematic. But she finds a lantern, then is able to get in the first door, and you notice that in there, that door that was open, all the walls are like black, so she's assuming there that this is still obviously toxic air, and it's doing something, making like a mold. And then she has to break open the door that's airtight, and she uses a pole and like spins around to open it, which was pretty cool. But she gets in and realizes some of the toxic air got in her suit because the tape was coming off. So she has to break open her helmet and get that out, and then she's able to survive because the air is clean where she is now, deeper past that shut door. Now she'll go into this room and sees how similar it is to the rooms from her silo. It has a very Fallout effect of the different vaults, and she even breaks a mirror and sees an old camera there, so she's seeing they had that same system set up. Now we go to a flashback now with Juliet, and she's going to reflect on all these things and her first day in mechanical and being with Shirley. It's going to be important, her time with Shirley, because of what Shirley says to her at the end, which we'll get to. I like Shirley, though, says in the flashback, oh yeah, she came down from the mids. I think she lost a bet or something. It's a lot more complicated than that. But we see they're telling Juliet all this information, like the really good stuff from recycling goes to Walker. And we see this is when the radio that Walker always uses was in recycling. Juliet will be the one who got the radio working, because we'll see Walker gives that to her to figure it out. Now, Juliet also finds a toy rabbit she wants to fix. This is significant. Why would she want a toy rabbit? Because it is a rabbit that her and her mom tried to save. And I love when Shirley asks her if she wants to stay with her and her dad. Juliet's just like, no thanks. But then she has to talk with Walker, and Walker is very blunt with her and is like, no, kid, your mom killed herself. She didn't just die. So there's like no sugarcoating, which is brutal. But we see the effects of what happened to Juliet's mother and her brother that's isolated her. She's had no friends since, and people act weird around her now because of what happened with her mom. But Walker gives her a story about her feeling isolated more than ever when she was sick, but was comforted just hearing someone yelling at her to be quiet. And it's interesting hearing this from someone who we know is to become the most isolated person ever. But this helps Juliet. This helps her to go out there more and want to be friends with people. And Juliet shows she fixed the rabbit then. And Shirley first scoffs at it, but comes around to her. So you see where that friendship really formed. Now, back in the present, Juliet hears like a ticking sound. So this is what she's going to start to follow. But that sound, she hits a wall because there's literally no bridge for her to go over. And this is where the rebellion had to cross in the flashback. It's cool. She sees the decayed bodies from the battle on the bridge there. And she decides to swing like Tarzan from above to cross and then falls literally onto her face and falls down into the water. And we know there's water higher up because of flooding out the generator. It would be higher. And of course, I was wondering, like, wait, she doesn't know how to swim, but I was like, oh yeah, this is Silo. Of course she doesn't know how to swim, but she finds something to float with. I always love those kind of moments that remind you of that they don't know these, like, normal things we do. I love Rebecca Ferguson's scream of frustration here. And just want to make a note, I love Rebecca Ferguson. I think she's one of the best actors in the game. She's amazing in Dune, and especially in Dune 2. However, her acting is great in Silo Season 1, but her accent, I am on board with that. It takes me out a lot where she constantly is changing accent in Season 1. So we didn't get to see what the deal is in Season 2, so I'm curious to see in this season if it can be more consistent. That would be my only criticism of her performance. I hope so. Now, the important flashback here with Shirley is we see Shirley show Juliet where the generator was, and Shirley tells her the story of how Knox and her friends left her in there sleeping, which is pretty brutal. But she found her way out slowly. And Juliet's like, well, I could never do that. And she's like, sure you could. What else are you going to do? Die? So it's a great match cut where it shows young Juliet and it cutting to Rebecca Ferguson's face, thinking about that and motivating her, giving her hope in present day, getting out of her situation. And I want to say, because I didn't review Season 1, but I could say it here, that it is amazing how they found the actress for young Juliet, who looks just like you would imagine a young Rebecca Ferguson. So spot on casting there. And she's a good actress as well. Now, where the episode really started to drag for me was when you realize we're just getting more of Juliet fixing her way out of things, and she's making this makeshift bridge. We'll actually see her make 2 makeshift bridges, and even her crossing. There is some tension there, but you know it's our main character. You know she's not going to actually die. Even if she falls, she's going to have to get back up, and then oh my god, it's going to get even slower. So it wasn't the best paced episode, in my opinion, and there's a part of me, like when she's following the key card on the fan, just to get to this could have all been avoided and not felt as such a slow episode if maybe when she got in that we have Steve Zahn's character just a little higher up, or that she just falls right to where he is so he can just kind of get on with it. I don't know if we had to see all this makeshift action with Juliet. It was extremely slow to me and a little disappointing. It gives you that scary feeling that maybe they are stretching out some of the story, that they're not confident they can keep it at a better pace, but I haven't read the book, so I couldn't say for sure. But the set is really cool here. It looks like Star Wars and Fallout. It's always looked good in the show, and it looked in particular here when she's getting to the door. And she goes to that door that has the key code on it, which is exciting. And you see there's other bodies on the floor in front of the door, so I'm wondering if at some point in this timeline someone else tried to get in here and that this mysterious character played by Steve Zahn killed them. But she tries to see if she can get a way in, and he's like, you do that again and I'm going to kill you. So it's an exciting cliffhanger, but it might have been a better decision to actually have 2 episodes again released for the first week on this show, because the first episode isn't that gripping. So it would have been loved to see just maybe another one, but so be it. They know the show's big now, so they don't have to do that. But this, to me, was a decent episode, but completely forgettable in the parts of her fixing things to get through. It just kind of slowed down way too much, and I wish they kind of just got to it earlier to avoid falling in that trap, to having to see her escape out of these different little situations. And even the flashback, the big moment is her with Shirley, but there's not much like else super great with it. It's just like, okay, like let's get it on here. But overall, I'm going to give it a 6.8. It had its moments, and again, it's always fun to watch Rebecca Ferguson act, and the show is still making me very excited for what's to come. I like where it's going. I just wish it would go a little quicker, like in an episode like this. But I'm excited to see if my theory is correct with Steve Zahn being that boy from the beginning, and what his deal is, and getting a new character, which I think the show needed, and a new environment, which I also think the show needs. Seeing another Silo is pretty cool. So I'm very excited for where this season's going to go, but I am disappointed at the slow pacing of episode 1. But let me know what you thought of this episode. I love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment. Try to respond as many as I can. Hit that sub button so you don't miss one of my reviews of Silo. I'm also reviewing Dune Prophecy at the moment, and I also do celebrity interviews. You're not going to want to miss those. And I'll see you next time.